Charles, yeah.
Right here. Right
All
here.
right, man. Well, hey, so listen, we've already been having an amazing conversation this evening with regard to, just speaking to just three amazing individuals who have just been rocking and rolling out here. Just what's love, and the research thereafter, and they have an amazing podcast. And so, if you want to get a better introduction, you can go back and listen to part one of the discussion. But we're just going to continue on forward because Sir Charles just went into an area of talking about just childhood and things that affect relationships. So right before we kind of go into talking more in the marriage space, I just want to kind of rest here more in the unmarried phase and just identifying what's love and whatnot, and some of the things that could impede you or just push you forward. So Erica, I want to throw it to you really quickly, because inside of your space of what you do right now, just from a clinical perspective, certified perspective, just different people that you're working with. Sir Charles was talking about just things with regard to childhood and how that can affect, your portions in your relationship. Can you just touch on that really quickly and kind of maybe give some words of advice or encouragement in that area of people's childhood and how that affects inside of their relationships?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that he mentioned is in the way we raise our sons. And, everybody's situation is different, but, it brings up the topic of toxic masculinity. And that tends to start when kids are very young. Child falls, they start crying, get up, dust yourself off, you're fine, no problem. That turns into an adult that never acknowledges any pain, but yet inflicts pain. And people don't always make those connections. But if you're never taught to how to appropriately release or express your emotions, especially when they're difficult emotions, that it's going to come out some kind of way. It's going to come out some kind of way. So you're either taught how to do it appropriately and practice doing it appropriately, or it comes out as becoming abusive. And I'm not just talking about like physically abusive. It can be mentally abusive, emotionally abusive, having control issues because as a child, you didn't feel like there was too much you could control. So now that I'm older, I'm going to control everything, which can be abusive. And there's a lot of times where you have to look back and think about it at recognizing this is coming from a place of pain. So I don't know if Barry told you this or not, but I've written 3 children's books. The first one that I wrote is called I Scream Because I'm Angry.
Okay. Go and plug them.
Right.
It's called I Scream Because I'm Angry. Simple title.
I'm angry.
That's it. That's exactly it. I rewrote all the words.
With the Negro spiritual over there in the background.
No, but seriously, that's where the idea for the book came from. I rewrote the lyrics to match the song, but there's a part in there that I wrote that that acknowledges anger being a shield when you feel pain. So when people are always talking about somebody being angry and violent and this and that, they have pain that has not been expressed at some point.
Okay, so I don't know if those people who can go back and look at the YouTube, there was a moment where I was about to jump out of my skin when you were just talking. So I'm gonna go here really quickly because okay. I gotta be the defender of men real quick, because we talk about toxic masculinity and what you were speaking with regard to things being taught, and then you're absolutely correct. But you know what I noticed? If right now, get your phone and Google toxic masculinity, okay, you will notice that Wikipedia and other things will pop up of, along the lines of just, the overbearing and things of that nature. But if you Google toxic femininity, there's no Come on, there's no definition at all. You know what it says? Sexist, and then you know what, right before that? Toxic masculinity. So how is it that I'm looking for the definition of toxic femininity and toxic masculinity and just sexism comes up? Well, toxic masculinity has sexism in there as well. So there's no clear definition right now of what toxic femininity is. And I think that just like it's taught, I'm sorry?
We did a show
we
on
talked
that.
about that.
So I had no idea of that. So just pure moment, right? So how is it that, so men have that definition, but then there are some women that don't have that definition of what they are and or what they're doing. And right now, the demographic, we could just look at, inside the African American community, we have, women who are just making the most amount and, shaking and moving way above everybody else demographically. But then there's this area of, I want to be with somebody, or for those that want a male mate, right? So for those that want a male mate, there's a gap that exists, but there's not even a definition of the characteristic of some of them, of what some of them possess.
We talked about that in one of our episodes about the opposite, the femininity side, and how there are honestly, in in very similar. It's just a feminine version of it, where a woman, right, as a girl or a teenager, has been hurt, and you suppress abuse or you suppress whatever you've gone through as a young person, and then you don't necessarily know how to be in a relationship with a man, even though that's what you want, and so you sabotage it.
Right.
And I see a lot
Anybody
of that.
Else? No. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Because I just think that, that's just, ooh.
I don't know, man. He was like defending the brothers. So to me, almost like devil's advocate. Is like, I get what you're saying. And like, well, let's defend the men. There's not a proper definition for the, female toxic. What is it? Say it again. What's the word?
Toxic femininity.
Toxic femininity. Like you said, there's no working definition for it. Got you. But I think the issue lies more with us really understanding the male toxic masculinity. Like that's where we should put our focus. Like I understand that there are some areas where things aren't being addressed. It may not be equitable. You're like, well, women got some things going on as well, but we got to fix home first. Like we literally have to be like, so, Well,
the only reason why I would say that, sir, is that because because it exists on both sides, and I think that there's more of a push on one side, which is more, yes, we got to get it together. Absolutely, we're being left in the dust, honestly.
Right.
Right. You need to make being a man great again, right? But I mean, but at the end of the day, it does. I think that there is, as we're shining the mirror more on one side, the other side, which is desiring, that companionship, that camaraderie, and things of that nature. It's kind of like, as we're trying to become smarter as men, we have the women that are not recognizing that there's an area of improvement as well. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I'm going to lose some followers, but I don't care. So, there's something that's wrong there.
I mean, that exists, but when you, and I could be generalizing in the sense, like, if we had to prioritize it, would that be the issue on why there's a disconnect or a gap between us and women? And I mean, some of the fellas can be like, bruh, are you for real? Because in my mind, I'm like, a good percentage of the issues come from self as it relates to us men. Not that women don't have their own part to play, but if we're leaders, we're called to be leaders. We're called to, lead these relationships and be in a position of where we're the trendsetters, or not necessarily the trendsetters, but just, again, I'll use the word leaders. If that is the role that we're supposed to play, like, bro, we have to be very intentional about our health. Literally, our emotional and spiritual and physical health, like literally. So what in the lens that I'm coming from, bro, is just simply being married for so long. I can just remember in the early parts, we would go back and forth about what you need to fix.
Okay.
Like you call, my behavior or my response doesn't sit well with Melissa, and then it's kind of like, well, you need to get your junk together too. But then you need to get your junk together. So we just kept going back with that tit for tat, like, hey man, look at yourself. Look at yourself. And I'm like, that's
Did y'all really say get your junk together? I don't think y'all said
I'm keeping that. I don't know what audience we got.
That's what you. No, but
so not to negate that does not exist. I'm just more inclined to be like, all right, man, there are other issues that exist. Absolutely.
Right.
I think we have to be much more intentional in terms of prioritizing our own issues. Once we can fix home and, we're at a place where we're self-aware, we're healing, then we can actually go and, help somebody else with their junk. Like literally, like you're not fixed, so how are you trying to fix somebody else?
So, Keidra, is it that you need to go to your side and Charles needs to go to his side, and then we need to figure out whether we need to even walk lockstep with this thing, because it would, and based upon, my comment that I made earlier about, toxic femininity, I don't know what your thoughts are about that, but Charles is already saying, okay, yes, men, we got to walk over here. I don't know whether we're hearing that on, the single woman side as often. There seems to be more of a push of men, if you get it right, to Barry's point, hey, we need to, as the leaders, we need to walk and do what we need to do. And then some women are like, okay, well, yeah, after you get there, then I'm gonna do what I need to do.
I don't know about that, but
No, I don't want to put no words in your mouth. Please feel free, sir.
No, so I'm not saying that that's going to resolve all the issues. All I know is it has to be our priority. That's all I'm getting. It's like, hey,
right,
man, all that other stuff exists, but let's prioritize it. Like, let's fix us first. Like, let's let the healing start with me, and then we can have the next conversation. We can go to the next layer of the issue and be like, all right, and you'll probably be much more in a better position for resolution coming from a healed place.
Right.
Like if you're at a healed place, we can better resolve this situation. It won't be a argument or conflict on, hey man, you're not emotionally mature. You are toxic. You're like, no, I'm not that person. I'm self-aware. I'm reflective. I seek counseling. I go to therapy. You're doing all the right things to be in a healthy place. So it almost takes that off the table. And then you're looking at a lady, like, so if you're trying to date Keidra and we're having issues, I can look at Keidra and be like, well, look, you need to get your junk together. Because I can say that from a place of, no, sweetheart, I'm at an emotional healthy place. I do go to therapy. So these issues that you're trying to project on me, you actually now you do need to check yourself. You do, but it's so much easier for women to cast the judgment on us because we're not putting in the work. And that's just basically where I'm getting. It's like, it's easy to pass the buck to the men, and there's some validity to it because, we don't necessarily step up in those areas.
Right.
So it's easy to be like, hey man, it's them. And it's like, well, now fellas, let's take that off the table. Like literally, like you can't pass the buck on me. If you don't have a man, you need to check yourself. Like, literally, like I'm doing the work on myself. But typically, fellas can't say that.
Keidra, what you think about that?
Right. Okay.
I see you got pen and paper, so I'm gonna sit back.
I didn't want to lose my thought. A few things came up. So the first thing is.
And the first thing.
let me get ready.
No, the first, Barry, I'm actually in agreement with you on a lot of what you're saying. Okay, but I think it goes a little bit deeper than just saying you need to work on yourself, because when I talk to a lot of people, and guys, men and women the same, right? A lot of people don't know how to work on themselves.
Absolutely.
They don't know. They don't even know where to start. So to say, you need to work on yourself. You need to do this. Because I'll put it out there. I do personal readings for people, and when I do readings for people, and I give them this.
Wait, I'm sorry, real quick. What's a personal reading for somebody?
tarot readings.
Oh, okay, come on.
Yeah, tarot readings. So I do not the poems.
There you go, dog. What it look like? What it look like?
Not the poems. We take the cards out and we see what the cards have to say. But when I do readings for people and I give them this advice along the lines of, spirit is saying this or spirit is saying that, their rebuttal is, but how? And a lot of times it is, spirit is saying that you need to dig deeper within yourself, or you need to work on this, or you need to work on that. And then they're like, okay, but how? So when it comes to working on yourself, a lot of people, they may be in agreement that they do need to work on themselves, but they just don't know where to start. And they don't know how. That's the first thing. The second thing, Barry, I will agree with you. I will agree with you in the fact that when you know that you are working on yourself, when you know that you are in a healthy, emotional, spiritual, mental place, then it is easy to recognize, okay, listen, I know, because I have some relationships that are not romantic relationships, that I say, you know what? Not to be holier than thou, or that I don't have any issues, but I recognize my issues, okay? And what you are doing is you are projecting some of your issues on me, and right. That is you need to go back and work on. The problem with that is, though, right? I think if somebody were to tell me that, I'm not necessarily, depending on who it is, especially if it's a guy that I'm just getting to know, or maybe even 8 months down the road, I'm still gonna be like, dude, you don't know me well enough. I'm not gonna trust that from him, or it has to be somebody that I trust that can tell me that. Because when you have two people in a relationship that are telling each other you need to do that, there's a level of trust, though, that you like, well, hold on, wait a minute.
Hold on. Okay, let me jump in this, Keisha. So you said 6-8 months down the road. Now, at this point, not you, but your neighbor can trust somebody to be inside their body, okay? But then when they speak towards certain aspects about you, all right, now all of a sudden it's because you did that in 3rd grade or 5th grade or 2 years ago. Now you don't, that whole trust factor, there's so much ambiguity that exists around that, to whereas, I'm walking on my journey and I'm not already there, right? Neither are you, but you can trust me. You can trust me inside of your body.
Well, that depends if that's what you're doing in that timeline. Everybody ain't doing that.
Okay.
At that particular.
That's why I say your neighbor. Your neighbor, it has
6 to 8 months.
Your neighbor is different. But here's the thing. I'm glad you said that, because I've heard that before. Because, well, you don't know, like you said, you don't know me. Okay, I don't know you, but last night.
And I don't know you.
Right.
I don't know you, and I don't. I will admit, I got some trust issues, and my trust issues come from a number of things, but one of them is that I don't necessarily trust your intentions yet. So if I don't trust your intentions, then I'm going to have a hard time if you telling me that, well, you this and you that, and you need to work on this and you need to work on that.
Let's be clear, Keisha. Like when I say that, that's me just being, kind of exaggerating for this particular conversation. In a healthy relationship, that wouldn't be the delivery,
Okay, in a healthy relationship, okay.
Like literally, like if me, the individual, the man, excuse me, being healthy, he can navigate that conversation much better, understanding that, okay, she's deflecting or she's projecting off. So let's have a conversation from that space versus a dude who doesn't know himself, who is not aware. It sparks anger. You're defensive. So there's an argument immediately, like, well, what you trying to say? And because he doesn't necessarily have the emotional fortitude or intelligence to let me have a real calm conversation with you. let's have a crucial conversation, and let me deliver it to you correctly. So go ahead, Eden.
See, and Charles, I need you here, right? Because I know you can kind of feel where I'm going with this. Because here's the thing. See, the phrase that you just said there, Barry, of I gotta say it correctly or whatever case would be. It's as if sometimes as a leader, you want me to be the leader, right? And it's okay for me to lead myself inside of your body, okay? It's okay for me to, lead myself at dinner.
Right.
Okay? It's okay for me to lead myself towards buying you something. But then if I want to lead myself towards giving you some feedback,
right,
okay, about the direction that you're in, now it's like I'm controlling. Now it's toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? And the reason why that I want to go here, and I kind of started off in the beginning, I know we kind of, skirted around it real quickly, because I think that there is toxic femininity that exists. Gotcha. So whereas, it's kind of like it's almost like you get in your space when you want to get in your space. Mm. And outside of that, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be the leader. Oh, I'm supposed to I can lead when it comes to money. I can lead all the way that way, right? As long as I got the bag, I can lead there. But then all of a sudden, when I want to turn around and give you feedback, Keidra or Erica, now there might be a controlling factor now, because well, you don't really understand this. So that, what you say?
Well, like Keidra was saying, now I don't trust your intent.
Yeah, now you don't trust me.
So then that should give women something to think about as far as like how fast you are rushing into relationships with people if you cannot trust them to give you some type of feedback or advice, and it be taken in, even vice versa, then that means that you should not be trusting them with other things, such as letting them have sex with you or whatever else you trust them to do, So yeah, because it depends on where we at. It depends on it depends on where we at between us. It depends on I have to observe how you run your life, okay, before you can give me some opinions about my life.
Right.
There's just some things that I need to observe first before I can take into consideration.
So let me ask you that, and just in general, like, so we should be in a posture where we don't accept feedback or course correction from other individuals unless they have it all together. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, that's not what you're hearing. Everybody does not have a good intention in the things behind the things that they say to you. Okay. So I guess it's just about like using some discernment. Barry, you and I have a friendship,
Right.
So and we have established a level of trust between the both of us. Absolutely. And so therefore, I come to you with relationship stuff, he did this or he said that or da 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 da. And so I trust what you have to say to me, even if you've told me about me before, I trust that. But if it was somebody that, I don't necessarily know, everybody's intentions are not good or for your benefit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I can take some feedback and I can take some criticism, but I'm going to decide who I'm going to allow myself to take feedback and criticism on based on what I discern your intentions to be. Because everybody's intentions for you.
Okay, so I want to ask this really quickly. How is it, Keidra, that you can allow a man to have, and Erica, you can jump in here as well. How is it that you can allow a man to have sex with you, but you won't allow him to give you feedback?
It's got quiet. It's quiet.
No, and because it's kind of like, how does that happen? How is it that I can place myself and I can be as close to you as any human beings can be? But at the same time, tomorrow, if I want to give you feedback about your direction in life, where we're going, or whatever the case may be, I have to have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z before you're like, I think I'll trust you. But you just let me inside of your body last night. How is it that a woman can do that? And I can't answer that because I'm not a woman. So how is it that you can let a man, or is it even okay? Let's go there. Right. That you can let a man inside of you sexually, but you can't let him inside of you emotionally, but then say you want to be in a relationship with this person and you want him to help lead you.
Okay, so I feel like that goes back to.
Oh, she got the pen. Y'all see that? Did y'all see that right there? I'm in trouble. I am in trouble.
that goes all the way back to when we first started this whole conversation, and I forgot what you asked me. Oh, how is it different now? And that goes back to the value that I speak for myself, the value that I place on myself at this age and at this point of my life. I'm not letting you sex me down if I cannot value your opinion as well. If I can't value what you said, because it's like, if I'm taking in consideration your opinion, then I feel a sense of that you have some good intentions, that you do care about me, that you are for my highest good. And if I feel if that's how I'm feeling about you, and I'm confident in that, then I can be confident and let you, what I'm saying, work me down right quick, I'm good.
Y'all gotta catch the YouTube on that. Well, let's how she just did that.
I was saying earlier, and I've been there before. Women have it backwards. They allow you to have sex with them and sex them down, but then you can't say nothing to them about nothing. When it should be the other way around. If you let me feel like you value, or let me value your opinion, let me value your input, let me value your feedback. And once I'm at that place, then I'm feeling a certain type of way about you. I'm feeling a certain type of way about us. And then moving forward is okay with me. That's just at this point in my life. I have not always operated like that, but at this point, there's, like I was saying earlier, there's a whole different level of value here.
You value in the box now. You're like,
yeah, the value of the box. Listen, we got about like two more minutes inside of this, and then we got episode 3. We got to just run into really quickly. Erica and Charles, y'all been real quiet, real quick. Y'all got any points to throw here before we kind of transition to the next episode?
I'll just add a little bit to what Kedra was saying. I think there has to be established what the relationship is, what each person wants before that happens, before you allow yourself that level of vulnerability, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, whatever the case is. There has to be some kind of discussion on where the relationship is going. That's my perspective. Yes, I'm calling on you.
I got a question. I'm sorry. I had a question really quickly. So no, for real. So, just is there even, on the clinical side of the house, why is it that women would allow somebody to sex them before but then when it comes to the emotional inside of feedback, why would somebody, if you can give just a piece of the facts of why that happens, why does that happen?
So I'm gonna go back to what I said.
See, we about to go at it. Me and Keisha about to go at it in 2 seconds. But
men do the same.
No, okay, so why do people do it, period? Okay, but men don't let women inside of them.
But men go inside of women.
And I understand that, but what we're sharing right here is that it's your body, and you are letting a man inside of you, right? So
I think
So
there's
are
like
you
some
saying
people
that?
saying
Are
that
you
touching
saying
on.
that
Come on,
men?
Charles. Charles, save me, Charles. Save me. Save me, Charles.
Keelan,
Hold on. Are you saying that men should not vow? I'm sorry, Erica. I didn't mean to cut you off. But are you saying that men should not value their bodies as
Absolutely
much as
not. No,
women
no,
should?
no. That's not where I was going with it.
Okay.
But I think Charles is about to say what I was gonna say.
Go ahead, Charles.
no,
It up.
I'm probably not. But what I'm thinking is like we have to look at both sides, right? But the thing that we have to look at culturally is that as soon right now, from a cultural standpoint, the men are being checked on their integrity, and women are being told go higher. Do all of the things that you were held back from doing. So now you're talking about the emancipation of women from a whole different standpoint. So now you got women who are making a whole lot of money, and they're also sexually emancipated to where now they have sex with whoever they want to have sex with. And when you do something like that, you create you're creating, and this is going to be offensive to some people, what I'm about to say. But that's just it just is what it is. You're creating a bunch of men with vaginas. And then here's the thing. Now and then what happens is the woman reduces the man down to what can you do? Because I can do everything that you can do. So if I can do everything that you can do, yeah, I can have sex with you, but I don't have to listen to you. Now, on the end of the men have to elevate themselves to the place where intellectually, emotionally, spiritually, and economically, you have to work hard, and you have to be somebody worthy to be listened to.
Right. Agreed.
But we cannot negate the toxic femininity that's going on, and we cannot make toxic femininity and toxic masculinity something that bleeds together, because it can't. Because each sex has its own biases that it enjoys living in. Women enjoy living in the double standard of I can say whatever I want to say to you.
Ooh.
I can slap you in your face and you better not hit me.
Right.
But if I say some crazy stuff to Barry, it's only about he gonna give me, because he my brother and I've known him for a good little minute. He gonna give me a certain amount of time to get myself together and to reel it in. But because he is still a man, and men operate by a code of respect, that means that in a minute he gonna grab me by my neck. We might be okay 2 weeks from there, but he gonna grab me by my neck. And women are okay with being toxic by being abusive verbally, but don't want to reap the same repercussions that they get when they step in the realm of men.
I like that, Charles.
That's toxic femininity. That's toxic femininity. When you use your cultural advantage to abuse the opposite sex, it's toxic femininity. When you use your male advantage to brutalize, like I'm stronger than Miss Worthley. I'm stronger than Miss Keeley. If I use my physical advantage to rough her up, that's toxic masculinity. I'm supposed to be using my strength to protect her.
Right.
To make sure that she feels safe, not that I use it to beat her up. And so I think what we have to do is like Barry said, like as a man, I'm not, honestly, I've come down a lot, because I used to put a lot of onus on the sex bias and the toxic femininity. My whole thing is now, Charles, get you together.
Right.
You get together. It don't matter who's toxic, it doesn't matter if she's toxic or not. She can get out of my face. I'm getting myself together, And then that allows me to recognize abuse.
That's good.
From women.
Yeah.
And so her being toxic as a woman don't have any onus or bearings. She can continue to be single. She can continue to be stressed out. She can continue to be by herself, but that doesn't change what I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But we still have to acknowledge that it's a totally different devil. Toxic femininity lives in the realm of women and the things that they get away with.
Right.
Because I can sit in a mall and I can be yelling. You can sit in a mall and watch a man yell at a woman. Everybody will look and say, is she okay? Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if she cheated on him. It doesn't matter if she did something horrendous.
Right.
Everybody's going to be looking at her to make sure she's okay because he's a man. But if a woman is slapping a man upside the head in the mall and following behind him in the mall while he's walking away and she's screaming at him and yelling at him, they're not going to say, is he okay? They're going to say, what did he do?
Well, let me ask you this,
so
Charles.
we live in that bubble of everybody's abusing their advantages.
Well,
and
let me ask
everybody
you this,
needs to grow up.
Just to challenge that, like I agree with it 100%, man. But the thought that just came to my mind is when you hold a certain position, doesn't it come with a higher standard of responsibility? You know what I mean? Like, so if just by the mere fact that we are the man and you're the head, you're the leader, it comes with a certain level of higher standards or a different type of responsibility and requirements. And I'm just asking, because that was a thought that came to my mind. I'm like, well, on our jobs or in the ministry, like with our children, I don't know if it's a good analogy, but as your children grow older, you have certain expectations. You're like, well, I don't care what they did. It's about what you're doing. Like, how did you respond? How was your behavior? So I feel like because we're in a position of leadership, it's like, well, I can't be yelling at you like that in the mall. You know what I'm saying? Like, just the mere fact that I am a man and I hold a different position, is that wrong? I guess is my question. Like, is that a bad thing?
Like, you have to look at it from the standpoint of everything is going to be zeroed in to context. So if I see a woman out in the street and she's about to get hit by a car, and I scream and I tell her, you need to move now. Now that takes a whole totally different context because I'm talking to her out of wanting her to be safe.
Absolutely.
Now, if I'm yelling at her from the standpoint of you, and this can zero into toxic masculinity, just that concept.
Okay.
If I cannot show her my emotion because you cheated on me, all because you're a woman, then what? And all because I'm the leader. I'm talking about what I'm saying is I don't think you should disrespect anybody publicly. I don't think you should disrespect anybody publicly. But me yelling at you, and then we also have to look at the context of what yelling is. Because we know, and we've been in contact with enough women that just a little bit of feistiness, a woman will be like, "Why are you yelling?" So there's a whole different way to look at that. I don't believe in dishonoring a woman because they are the weaker vessel. So making her feel small or making her feel unsafe is two totally different things from if I'm a leader, then I have the jurisdiction to correct you. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I have the jurisdiction to correct you. Absolutely. And women don't want to be corrected. And sometimes because in our culture, women are being pushed higher and women are not being looked at as wanting to be corrected.
No, I agree.
Okay, hold on, wait a minute. So 2 things right here. The first thing is that in what context are you saying that women are the weaker vessel?
Ooh.
I want you.
You know, wait.
When was the last
Charles,
time? Let me ask you a question, Ken.
Charles, can we go to episode?
When was the last time you curled
like, you
150 pounds?
No. Hold on.
Let me answer the question. When was the last time you curled 150 pounds?
Here's what I'm asking
you. Haven't.
In what context?
I'm just asking. I'm saying.
Women are the weaker vessel. Are you saying in?
Did you listen to my question?
I heard your question, and so
what was my question?
I'm asking you to clarify, right?
I'm clarifying it, but you're not listening.
When was the last time I lifted 150 pounds?
So the context is physical.
Okay, so that's all. That's what I was asking right there. That's what I was asking. Are you talking about physical? Talking about emotional? You talking about spirit? Like mental? Like I just want to know.
Okay. This is what we gotta do. Just for 1 second, if we could just put a pin really quickly in this. We're gonna go into episode 3 because this right here, we have another topic to discuss, but we're also gonna extend this into the next episode. So hold on, Keitro.
I love this pin.
I saw Keitro. Her skin tone changed, Barry. Did you see that? Hey, thank you guys so much for joining. We're gonna go into episode 3 where we're gonna not only talk about this, but just a point that actually Barry made on the What's Love on their Facebook. So make sure that you follow what you guys really quickly can one of you guys give me the elevator version of how they can follow the What's Love podcast?
That's all you can.
So the podcast is actually on hold right now.
She's talking completely different right now, y'all. She about to get hot. Charles, I cannot wait until the rest of this conversation. Okay, go ahead.
I ain't trying to give out no information.
The podcast is actually on hold right now because all three of us have very busy schedules, and so we're on a little hiatus right now, but we still have conversations via Facebook in our Facebook group. So you can go to Facebook, What's Love Podcast, join the group, and you can catch us there in conversation.
And she like, okay, shut up. Let's get back to the next story. That's fine. We just gonna keep it rolling. We just gonna look. We're gonna keep you guys. Thank you everybody for joining us. You can make sure that you catch episode 3. We're gonna just go right into it because this is Keisha got flushed right here.
No, I just wanted him to clarify.
Go ahead.
He clarified, he was saying weaker, but I still, because that may not still be all the way true, because I know a woman who can lift over 200 and something pounds and who can lift more than men in the gym. So you may need to rethink women as the weaker vessel.
Miss Keeley.
Yes.
Miss Keeley.
Mr. James.
The exception to the rule doesn't change the rule.
But I do a lot.
So just because there's one woman that can lift more than a lot of the men does not mean that in general the woman is noted as the weaker vessel.
I'm coming in
physically, right?
That's what I'm saying. We're talking about physical. We're talking about physical. Now I'm gonna say something that's gonna make you madder than before. Because in the area of I'm not gonna say it. We're just going.
Please say it.
Let's keep going.